Hey there, everybody. It is May 3rd, and we made it to Friday. Tonight I wanted to talk about debunking some popular real estate myths. And by popular, I don't mean that they're elected the prom queen or anything like that, but just, some things that have been around for a while. And I was looking at, the word myth, and it definitely is, based in history, it's based in the past. And in some points in time, some of these things were actually true. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through some of the top things. This is going to be a mini series, and we are going to uncover the truth about what is going on with some of these stories that you hear. Number one, when you are looking to buy a house, looking at homes is the first step. It's actually dependent upon how you look at it, the fourth step. Okay. It's kind of like, going out and playing baseball without practicing, or practicing law without getting a law degree, or anything like that. You get the point. So what's the first step? Well, the first step is that we should meet and we should discuss your goals, what type of house you want, how much you're willing to pay, all of that fun stuff. Because if you just go out and start looking at houses, how do you know if it's the right price? How do you know if it's right for you? Do you have a plan? What's going on with that? So we definitely need to sit down and go over everything. Okay. The second thing, and sometimes people put this one first, it's okay either way. The second thing is get a pre-approval. We need to get a pre-approval. You need to find out how much you can afford. You need to find out what your debt structure is. Is there anything you can do to your debt to perhaps relieve you of some of it, or have a higher DTI by getting more money counted towards you being able to buy a house? It's a little bit complicated. And yes, you're going to need to talk to a lender to do that. And I'm going to get to that in a future point in a second. So we're looking at meeting, we're looking at getting pre-approved, and we're looking about number three, educating you as to what the process is. Okay. You need to know what's going on. You need to be aware. I always say, surprises are for birthday parties, not for buying a house. Okay, I actually coined that phrase. So let's go in eyes wide open and know what's going on. The fourth thing is we're going to set up a search. So I know I said the fourth thing was searching houses. You could kind of put these together. The fourth thing is we're going to set up a search. We're going to set up a search based on your criteria, where you want to live, what size bed, how many bedrooms you want, how many bathrooms you want, what size house, any criteria that you want within reason. We're not going to be able to search for what specific color countertop you want or anything like that. But, countertops can be replaced. So we're going to get the search as specific as it needs to get. And then we're going to go out looking at houses after we've done those other things. So that is real estate myth number one, debunking it. Looking at homes is the first step. It is definitely not the first step. It's fun to do it. But the problem with looking at homes and thinking it's the first step is that you get stuck there and you don't want to do any of the other steps. So it can be terribly debilitating. Moving on to number two. You don't need an agent to buy a home. Now, obviously, this advice is going to seem self-serving, but it doesn't mean that it's not true. Your agent is kind of the orchestra leader, leading everything along. They're the ones who are going to show you the homes. They're the ones that are going to guide you through it. They're the ones that are going to set up this master plan. They're the ones that are going to make sure that you're working with a good lender. And there's more bad lenders out there than good lenders. Trust me. We are constantly evaluating lenders, reevaluating lenders, putting lenders into different categories and everything dependent upon what they can do and everything. And so you definitely want a good real estate agent who's going to be connecting you with that. Also, title work. You need someone who's going to be doing the title work. You need your real estate agent to connect you with them as well. Inspector, appraiser, all of these different players that are going to be involved in your transaction. You want someone who's doing this. You do not want to take off the next 2 months and just completely orchestrate everything. I equate what we do kind of like an iceberg. You just see about 10% of it. If we're doing our job correctly, you're seeing about 10% of what's going on, and that means we're doing our job correctly. If you're seeing like 90% of it going by, that means that we're not doing our job and you're spending a little bit too much time in your transaction and we're not doing our job. So, you don't need an agent to buy a home. Definitely not true. You definitely do need an agent to buy a home. There's lots of pitfalls that I hear people who are doing for sale by owner. I had a lady in Spenciola Farms right on Spenciola Parkway. You guys probably saw the for sale by owner. She put her house on the market for this price. Didn't get any traffic. I came in, sat with her for about a half hour. We talked everything. Nobody else came in while we were there. And then finally she got an offer and somebody did this and then they pulled out. And then she got another offer from someone and they pulled out. And all this time she was trying to save a little bit of money, save a little money. And she went from this price to this price. And I told her right out of the gate, I said, I can get you this price. And I said, even with my commission, it's still going to be way more than what you could get. She didn't believe me. She ended up getting, I think it was about 30, it was a pretty nice house, about $30,000 less for the house. And it was just a terrible tragedy that, and plus it just hurts the value of the whole neighborhood. So you're just shooting yourself in the foot and shooting everyone else in the foot as well. Okay. Next one, number 3, buying a new home is buying a home without problems. After all, it's new, right? Roof is new. This is new. That's new. Well, a lot of new stuff expands and retracts and stuff like that. And you definitely need, to redo the seals and everything. But regardless of that, yes, theoretically, it should be in great shape. It should be in the best shape of its life. Obviously, it's new. But lots of new things fail. A lot of the electronics fail. A lot of these appliances that they make today, the motherboards in them fail. The chips fail. The transistors fail. Anything that's in these things, they can have problems. Every new home inspection that we've ever been on has had at least a dozen problems with it. Builders take shortcuts, things get overlooked, roofs are leaking, basements are leaking, this, that, and the other. And we really need to make sure that you have someone watching over you and fighting in your corner. So before you go look at that new home construction thing, get your agent lined up first. Don't go look at homes without them. Don't leave them behind, because when you go into that new home construction, they're going to pull you in, they're going to wheel you and deal you, and then you're going to end up spending 10 to 20% more than what you would have spent for a house, guaranteed. Number 4, 20%. This is one of my favorite ones. 20% is the required down payment. Don't buy a house until you have at least 20%. Hopefully nobody just cuts that part out and plays that in the news. It is completely not true. 20%, there's a little bit of truth to it, tiny bit. 20% is required as a down payment if you want no PMI. However, over the years, PMI has gotten a lot more forgiving. And so nowadays, if you have good credit and you're putting down, say, 10%, 20, 18%, 17%, 14%, something like that. When we bought our house, I think because of the upgrades we paid for the upgrades out of pocket. And I think we put 16% down. Our mortgage insurance premium, or PMI, as they call it, private mortgage insurance, has a whole bunch of different names, but those are the acronyms. It ended up just being pennies on the dollar. So it was very small expense, but you are definitely not required to put down 20%. With an FHA loan, you can put down as little as 3.5% and have a credit score as low as 640 and get more Maryland Mortgage Program money. So conventional loans typically run between 3 and 5% down, depending upon your credit, how much, and everything. So you can put down 3.5%. If you're buying an average $300,000 home, that's going to be about 10 grand that you're putting down. Okay. So you can put down a lot less than 20%. And the reality is you're probably going to refinance at some point. And when you refinance, even if you have PMI, that's the time that you can get rid of the PMI at that stage. Okay, I'm getting tired. It is late. Um, Next, this is the last one for tonight. Number 5, the down payment is the only upfront cost. Boy, I wish this one were true. Of all the ones that were up here, I wish this one was definitely true. There are 2 buckets of money that you're going to come to the table with. There's the down payment and there's the closing costs. You can get help with these. Maryland Mortgage Program, other programs can help you with the down payment. You can get money from yourself, family, and government. On the closing cost side, you can get money from yourself, government, family, of course, and you can also get help from the seller if the seller is willing to give you some. In this market, not so much, but in some markets, you can actually get down payment. I mean, not down payment, closing costs help from the seller. So there are 2 buckets that you're going to come to the table with. The down payment one, if you were doing an FHA loan, the down payment one is going to be about 3.5% for the down payment for FHA and about 4.5% for the closing costs for FHA. So altogether, this is about 8%. So you're buying a $300,000 home, it's going to be about $24,000 out of pocket. But a lot of times you can get about 6% of that covered by first-time homebuyer programs. So that leaves you with coming with 2%, which is about $6,000. So don't despair if you're not sitting on stacks of cash. If you have some money, let's talk. Let's see if there's some grants or programs available where you can get money from the government to help you close that gap. All right. So those are the 5 things. Looking at homes is the first step. It's definitely not the first step. It's probably the 4th step. You don't need an agent to buy a home. You should definitely have an agent to buy a home. You should probably have an agent before you even start looking at homes, even online. Buying a home, a new home, is without problems. I'm living in a new home right now. It is not without problems. So just come over and I'll show them to you. 20% is not required as a down payment. And down payment is not the only cost that you're going to incur. There are closing costs. And just to recap, what are closing costs? Closing costs are things like the appraisal, the inspection, title fees, lender fees, taxes, prepaid insurance. All of those tiny little fees, well, they're not always tiny, but they start out being a little bit, but they stack up on top of each other. And they do amount to be a sizable amount after a while. So if you're looking for some straight advice on what's true and what's not true, how to buy a home, give us a call and we'll help you out. Otherwise, have a great night, an awesome weekend. We'll see you soon.